Basil, one of the most popular herbs both in the kitchen and in the garden. And today I'm going to show you how I grow basil from seed. Let's get into it. Okay, so what do we need? First of all, we're going to need our seed. We're going to need some potting soil, a pot to put it up in, and an optional extra which I'll show you later. So first off is our seed. Our seed is pretty important. You want to make sure that you get a high quality seed from a nursery or reputable distributor, and that's going to better your chances from the start. So next up is our container selection. I like to start basil in the containers around this size, but really you could use anything. It's really just to get the plants up to a reasonable size, and then you can pot them up into something bigger, probably like this thing. So next up is our potting soil that you'll use to plant your seeds into. Now you can just use a high quality potting mix. Most of the time that'll be fine, and that's what I use. You can also get seed raising mix, and the difference with that is it's a smaller particle size, which means if you have small seeds like the basil seeds, the soil can contact that at all times and make sure that it stays wet. One little trick that I do sometimes is to grab your standard potting mix and an old kitchen strainer like this, and I add my potting mix to that, and then I shake it. Now what's happened is this is the soil that's been sifted, and you can see that it has this it's a smaller particle size, and that means it's going to hold on to moisture really well, particularly around smaller seeds. And this is what's left over. It's this really kind of chunky, barky. Now that can go straight back into either your compost, or it's really good for orchid mixes where plants need better drainage, and then you can use this for raising seeds. Or you can just use your standard potting mix, which, if you can kind of see the particle size there versus that, there's a little bit of a difference, and this can improve your chances of getting plants up from seed. Okay, now that you've decided on what type of potting mix that you'd like to use, it's time to plant your seeds. So grab your container and just fill him up like that. Grab your basil seeds. Now basil seeds are really small seeds, so what I try to do is get at least 4 seeds per cell, and I just place them on top of the potting soil. It doesn't matter if you get a few extra seeds in there, you can thin them out later. And actually I've got a few extra, so I'm just going to put them in as well. And then just sprinkle a little bit on top. Now they are really small seeds, so you don't need to bury them too much. Generally you want to plant seeds twice as deep as they are wide. That's a general rule of thumb. There we have it. So now we just need to water these in, give them a light water, and then keep them moist. In around 10 days you should see basil popping up, and these guys are around 2 weeks old. So you can see I didn't get seeds up in every cell, and that's completely okay. And that's why it's so important to put more than one seed in. Better your chances. You can see that these 4 are very healthy, and these smaller ones aren't so healthy. So I probably will only pot up these 4. Now, one of the most common mistakes that people make when they're trying to grow basil from seed is too much water. Now the basil seeds are really, really small, so you don't need to give them too much water. Keep them moist, but not wet. And when you start to see them drying out, that's when you water again. Position. Basil likes full sun and it will do okay depending on your climate. If it's really, really hot, they might get burnt a little bit, so then you can pull them back into a little bit of shade. So it just really depends on your area. Once you have basil growing like this, I would let them get a little bit bigger. There isn't any roots coming out the bottom yet, so I'm going to leave these guys a little bit longer. Once they've gotten bigger and they've filled out their pot, I'll pot them up into their own individual pot. Up until this point, you probably don't really need to feed your basil. At this point, I would start feeding with a weak solution of seaweed or kelp or something like that, a liquid feed. That'll really boost these guys along. So why not give it a go? Don't go buy it from the shops, grow it from seed. You can have this in your kitchen, in your garden. It's a beautiful plant, and why not give it a go? Tastes delicious. Anyway, have a good day and happy gardening.